Welcome to Budget Friendly Nutrition. Today we're going to make this delicious vegetable broth using scraps. Over the past couple of weeks, I've kept a bag in my freezer that I've loaded up with all my scraps from cooking, like onion skins, carrot tops, and other veggies. I saved my herb stems from things like thyme and rosemary, a few mushrooms that were about to go bad, and even the skins from garlic. I've gotten in the habit of keeping some sort of bag or container next to my cutting board, so every time I'm cooking, I can throw the scraps right in. Bell pepper tops, broccoli stems, green onions, even the cobs of corn. I stash that away in the freezer and pull it out every time I cook. You might be surprised at how quickly this bag will fill up. To make your broth, all you have to do is pull those scraps out of the freezer, dump them into a pot, and fill that pot with water. Leave a little bit of room at the top so it doesn't boil over. Pop a lid on, turn your burner on high, and bring it to a boil. I like to keep my broth really plain and simple. In fact, I don't even add salt to it because sometimes the recipes that I'll use the broth in are already quite salty on their own. But if you know exactly what you want to use this broth for, feel free to season it accordingly. Now we can turn our heat down to low, cover the pot, and let it rest for a couple hours. Now that everything's been simmering for a while, you can see the veggies are starting to change color and the broth is taking on all that lovely flavor from the vegetables. I also want to mention that if you don't want to do this on the stovetop, feel free to use a slow cooker, a pressure cooker, or even a rice cooker. Now that the broth is all cooked down, it's time to strain the liquid from the vegetables. You can use the back of a spoon to press down on the vegetables and squeeze out any remaining broth. Now you can use your broth right away if you're making soup today. You could also store it in the refrigerator for about a week, or what I like to do is pour it into jars, leaving a little bit of room on top, about 1.5 inches, screw on the lid and pop them in the freezer. We want to leave a little bit of room at the top so that when the liquid expands, our jars don't break. Another option is to pour some of that broth into plastic bags or into these reusable bags. This can be used to store it in the fridge or in the freezer. Now I always like to label my jars with the contents and the date. This broth will last in the freezer for a few months and in the fridge for about 1 week. Make sure you start a new container with all your fresh scraps for next time.